Hey there, Cheesesteak folks. We are live with the Philadelphia Stage Combat Workshop. Once again, my name is Terry McIntyre, lead coordinator for the workshop. Hopefully, as we go on with some of these live streams, I'll be able to be joined by some of our other administrative staff. We do have some other various kinds of coordinators. We've got our instructor coordinator, our staff coordinator, student liaison, et cetera, et cetera. Like we've tried to expand a bit of how our administrative work goes this year. So we've only been live for about 45 seconds. So gonna give a few minute or two to see if we can have see if anybody jumps on to see what we're doing. Another minute or so before we start chit-chatting. For those, hey, there is somebody. For those who are a part of the Cheesesteaks group on Facebook, know that I put in a link to join this stream if you would like to jump on live with me and get a chance to share with the world some of your favorite stories about workshops past. That is an enormously awesome chance to do that. If you want to join us live on screen, just go to the Cheesesteaks Facebook group page. Let me see if I can pull up that group actually. Groups. And make sure we share the link in the comments. If you are joining us, if you are watching, I can see there's at least 2 folks watching right now. As you join, please post in the comments, just wave hi, say you're here, let us know what's going on. Oh, there we go. Cheesesteaks. Yeah, would love to hear from folks. So yeah, once again, if you would like to join me live on screen right now, I would love to have some folks on here to talk about a bit of their prior experience with the Philadelphia Stage Combat Workshop. Oh, come on. All right. So you know what? I think this is what I will do. Copy. You know what? There we go. So I have just put in the comment section of this live stream, if you've got a story that you want to share live on this live stream on screen, whether you're watching on a phone or watching on your computer, you can tune in, you can join me. As long as you've got some sort of camera and a microphone, it works. So if you've got a story you want to share with folks thinking about joining us for the Philadelphia Stage Combat Workshop, click on the link and join me. Alrighty. So that way it's not just me kind of yakking at the screen talking about my memories from the last couple of years. So I actually started coming to the Philadelphia Siege Combat Workshop as a student back in 2007, I think was my first workshop. Wow. Yeah, kind of showing my age there a little bit. But yeah, that year we had some amazing folks. Ian Rose actually had me come in as one of the intern staff because I was still a student at Arcadia University at that point in time, and he was the instructor at that point in time. And I just remember being floored by the fact that it was just 2 straight days of nothing but amazing content, amazing teachers, amazing people. I learned so much from just a moment. Cool. So yeah, I learned so much from folks that year. I believe Chuck Coyle was on staff that year. I remember Joe Travers being on staff that year. I got a chance to meet some of the folks that I eventually went on to test with the Society of American Fight Directors for my teacher certification. I ended up meeting them for the first time that year, or getting a chance to interact with them for the first time that year. I pretty much attended the Cheesesteak almost every single year after that. I think there was only one year where I didn't get a chance to come to the Cheesesteak because of a prior job that I had that year. But yeah, I remember coming to the Cheesesteak almost every single year since 2007. So it has just grown exponentially from there. The amount of amazing teachers I've gotten a chance to meet. I've gotten a chance to work with or learn from, I believe it's called a Doria stunt team. They're out of the Czech Republic. Sometimes their videos get bounced around Facebook every once in a while. But they came and they did a demonstration for us. They're freaking fantastic. We had Carrie Teal with the Cheesesteak one year. She was part of the fight coordination team and motion capture team for Lord of the Rings. She's also a member of Fight Directors Canada and has been really, really active up there. I think that was also the first time at that workshop, was one of my first times getting exposed to folks from other countries and other ways of working on this art form. So I think that's one of the biggest benefits of coming to a regional workshop, because you get exposure to classes and teachers and ideas far beyond what we normally do in an in-person or an in-class SPT kind of situation. I never would have expanded my brain to think of throwing some aerials work into unarmed choreography. One year we had Robert Wesley and Krista Wesley from New York. Krista is an aerialist, and Robert is a fight director up in the New York area. And they tend to incorporate a bit of aerials, like base and flyer work when it comes to lifts, when it comes to a lot of their fight choreography. And that was probably one of my absolute favorite classes from that year. What are some others? So, like, if you're just tuning in, I see a couple of people tuning in, just joining us. If you have a favorite story from one of the years of the Cheesesteak past, feel free to throw it in the comments. I would love to be able to hear it. We can actually show some of these comments live. If you have any questions about the Philadelphia Stage Combat Workshop and what we do, throw it in the comments. We can answer these questions live. If you have a story that you would like to share live on screen and join me in chit chat, I can actually send you the link and have you join me on screen. So let me know if you'd like to chat. Pretty soon we'll be having a little guest come in and chat about his experience or their experience with the Philadelphia Stage Combat Workshop. Certified teacher Dan Granke. Is he a certified teacher or is he a fight director at this point? But Dan Granke, amazing peoples. So they're going to be joining us in just a little bit. Hopefully we can get some more folks commenting on, yeah, I see a couple people. Yeah, there we go. A couple of my students who've come to the Cheesesteak the last year or two watching the screen. I think I see you there. So if you've got some fun stories from Cheesesteaks past that you might want to share with us, that would be awesome to hear what other folks remember from years past. So let me just checking a couple of things, seeing where we're at. Boom. Oh, that's the live stream from yesterday. There we go.
Yeah, pretty soon.
That way, cool. I think I see a Jared Kirby. I don't know. You might be still viewing. I know you jumped on for a little while there with the live stream. Yeah, if you'd love to say hi or talk, just put in the comments anything you can remember about joining us a couple of years ago. Jared Kirby actually was one of our guest instructors 2 years ago now. Yeah, 2 years ago now for the 2018 workshop. That was our first time at Temple University. And he actually came down and taught a Italian rapier class for that Friday. We usually, when we've been in person, we try and do a one-day historical workshop the Friday before the cheesesteak starts. And we've had some amazing people come down for those workshops, one-day workshops in the past. We've had everybody from the Martinez Academy up near New York. We've had them come down a couple of times teaching, I think, French smallsword 1 year, Spanish rapier another year, Italian rapier and dagger another year. That's what Jared came down. He was teaching a Capoferro 2 years ago. Year before that, I believe it was Todd Campbell. He came down from Toronto. Fightmaster Todd Campbell came down from Toronto to teach a one-day workshop on sword and buckler, a la MI33. And a lot of the times that part of the workshop tends to be historically based. But in the past, we've also had the theatrical firearm safety workshop on that Friday. And that is an amazing opportunity to get some fantastic skills under your belt when it comes to firearm safety and handling and loading and learning about the different kinds of weapons that can be used in a theatrical setting or on a film set and that kind of thing. And they do not just a written version or a written test for that certification, but they also do a practical. So it's if you get a chance to take that certification test, do it. Hopefully coming up for when we get to do in-person cheesesteaks in the future, we'll be able to bring that certification workshop back because you do have to renew it every 5 years or so. Talking about previous historical workshops. We've had a lot. Michael Mueller, he 1 year came out and he did a halberds class. We've had such a range of weapons being taught. I want to come back to thinking about the words are a thing today, the melees from previous years. We talked a little bit about the melee from last year because yesterday we premiered the melee video from last year, and we talked about some of the we actually looked at some of the previous year's melee videos, and some of them have just blown me away. Probably one of my personal favorites. I know yesterday I said my absolute favorite memory from the different melees was the year that Carrie Teal came down, and we decided to do the Battle of Pelennor Fields for the melee. So somebody actually got to be Gandalf, somebody got to be Merry and Pippin, somebody got to be Aragorn. But my favorite moment of that was there were two people who we had them kind of sit together, and I got a chance to ride on one of their backs and move into the space, firing fake arrows. So I basically got to ride an Oliphant that year. Another year, we did the Massacre of Paris, which is Catholics versus Protestants in that year. And crazy story with that. So that was just a little bit after I had really gotten a sense of rapier dagger and two-weapon fighting. And I decided, I was still a student at that point in time, So I decided for that melee, because what ends up happening is we'll bring in a lot of different weapons, and people can just kind of pick, okay, I want to fight with this in this melee, and we come up with the choreography during that last class period, and we perform it by the end of that period, and it's a lot of fun. Then we go out to the pub. So I chose rapier and dagger for that that particular melee, and we get through doing the choreography. We get to the point where it's time to reset to 1, to run it through completely for the first time, see how everything's timing out, and see if there's any traffic issues. And I go to sheath my sword, or like put it on my hip, and I realize I'm right-handed. So this is my right hand. I'm right-handed. I had been fighting with my sword in my left hand, because I go to try and put it on my left hip, and I'm like, oh, I flipped it around. And I didn't realize it until it was time to run through it for the first time. And by that point in time, we had already gotten a good amount of choreography, and it was a little too late to switch it. So that entire melee, I was fighting left-handed. Yeah, some crazy things that I can remember from workshops past. So yeah, if you're just joining us, make sure you throw in the comments saying hi, hello, how you doing? If you've got a story that you want to share about Cheesesteak's past, feel free to throw in the comments that, hey, raise your hand, I want to say something, and we'll make sure that you get the link. And in fact, if you've got a story, the StreamYard link is to join this live stream on camera is actually right there in the comments. So if you're watching on your phone, if you're watching on your computer, you can actually join either way, as long as you've got a camera and a microphone. Just double check something. Cool. So let's see if there is anybody. Let me see if I can find a few fun pictures from Cheesesteak's past. Might spur up some memories. Probably one of my favorite and more useful classes that I've taken, maybe not necessarily from the Cheesesteak, but from a regional workshop, is this idea of breath work. This idea of breath work, how breath ties into the performance of a fight. So often in various theatrical communities. Oh, wait, let me pause that thought. Dan, do you feel ready to jump on screen with me? Cool, I'm getting a thumbs up. So adding to the screen, we've got Dan Granke. How you doing, Dan?
I'm doing okay.
Awesome.
Busy the past couple days, but that's a good thing, I guess, in these times. Where's my camera? I have like 3 cameras. I spent like a whole class looking up here and like talking to the camera up here when it was supposed to be down. Oh, hi.
I know the feeling. With my arcade class, like I'm looking at you on my screen, but here's my camera. I'm like,
see, I'd like you to think that I'm looking at you right now, but I'm actually looking at myself because I'm so pretty.
So pretty. I love it. So what we're basically talking about, and kind of what I've been rambling on about for the last like 5 minutes, just some of our favorite memories from Cheesesteak's past. Just kind of getting folks excited about like what is it like to be a student with this workshop, or any regional workshop in that case, because there's just so many that have popped up over the last bunch of years. So
well, they're all fun, but Philly, the Cheesesteak was one of the first regional workshops I went to. I think it was the second one I ever went to. I was, or maybe the third, I guess. I was, I got my BFA at the University of Michigan. I studied with Eric Frederickson there, and one of the founders of the society. For those of you who don't know him, he's kind of retired over the past couple of years. But I was really into combat, and I decided I really wanted to move to New York. And I wanted to pursue stage combat training. So like right when I got out of school, I went to the intermediate stage combat workshop back when we had one at the Nationals. and was super stoked because like I'd only trained with Eric, like I'd never trained with anybody else. And my when I got to New York, of course, I wanted to get involved in doing the regional workshop circuit, and went out and did a bunch of them. I was an intern at one of the only 2 Seattle Sockeyes, and of course I was going to the Summer Sling in New York, but Philly was a train right away. So I was like, I got to go down there, and I needed to do some renewals. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna get some renewals done while I'm down there and just see what they're offering, get an extra day in. And I was one of like 2 or 3 people doing renewals that year. And one of the renewals was Sword and Shield with Ian Rose. And Ian pulled out all this cool stuff from 133, all these buckler and sword guards, and was like applying them. And it was awesome because it was like a private masterclass with Ian. And it was in this stuff that was like so new to me and so cool. And I just was blown away by Ian's knowledge and by the way that he was just in a generous and loving way, relentless in getting the best from us. And it was an incredible experience. I mean, I've never worked harder in a renewal. I've never learned more in a renewal. It was like one of the first ones I ever did, like the second one maybe, after doing my first round when I went to nationals. And so it was just this incredible day. I mean, we burned through 2 interns over the course of the day. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And then I did a renewal with Mike Cosenza and Knife that Chuck did, Conwell. But yeah, I'll never forget that first meeting with Ian, and just really thinking, here's this person who really knows the stuff. And so I just knew I had to come back. And actually over the years, because I was right there, I would do both the sling and the cheesesteak, the sling and the cheesesteak. But there were actually years I missed the sling and I never missed the cheesesteak. So ultimately, I actually went to more cheesesteaks than slings, even though I lived in New York. And even though I was like head intern at the sling for a while, I kept going to cheesesteak. And even like the first year, right after I got certified to teach, I went back to the cheesesteak, because just every year there's always somebody there who, like, the staff is so small, and the people who y'all bring in are just always, of course I'm biased because I was one of the people last year, but I'm always impressed with like the people you bring in. It just is like they're targeted. It's a small group of teachers. You know that the people who were brought in are just really some of the very, very best. And it's always been the case. Like I always came to cheesesteak because I knew somebody was there that I could really learn from. And it might not always be somebody who I knew from the society. It might be somebody from Canada, because of all the connections you all have with them. So the chance to learn with those people, or with now some of the HEMA people are coming in. I mean, the fact that Jess Finley was there last year was just amazing. And I'll never forget being able to take, right when I first started learning about the scrappy techniques that Kay Jenny Jones was developing, y'all brought Kay Jenny in. So what was I doing? I was coming down to watch Kay Jenny teach, to learn from Kay Jenny, to keep growing my knowledge of this cutting edge stuff. And like, that's when I think of the cheesesteak. I think there's always something cutting edge there. And I know the mass battle is like something that everybody does now, but you all were really ones that popularized that. I mean, we were doing it up at the Sling too. It was a shared thing, but you all really committed to it and made it a thing. So, I mean, I really think there's so much that the cheesesteak does that's just a little bit special, a little bit different.
Yeah.
And there's the cheesesteak.
Exactly. Unfortunately, we can't. I wish we could do that in some sort of virtual setting. Maybe we'll find like our favorite like YouTube cooking show, how to make your own cheesesteak at home kind of thing. I don't know.
We need Nigel on this. I want like a close up of just like Nigel's beard, like let me find the angle like that. Just Nigel eating a cheesesteak like this, getting like ketchup in his beard and stuff.
I love it. Oh God, yeah, we've had Nigel, I think, at least once or twice.
You had him once. I think it was that year that I came back as a student after I was a teacher.
Yeah.
That he was there, and that's again another reason to be there for me, was to see Nigel. Of course, he and I are close friends, so I want to see my friend, but also just again somebody who really is out there on the cutting edge of teaching. I just think the world of what he does, and I know that's why he got invited to the cheesesteak. So I just know that it's really. You're really training with, I think it's great too, sometimes, again, this is not knocking what other workshops do, but sometimes workshops have just this wealth of classes, and the cheesesteak has maybe a little bit fewer, but they're targeted, and it's a smaller group. And also you get a bigger group in your class, you get more people to play with and work with, which is really, really important. So I've always had such a good time there as a student. It's lovely downtown Philly. So, I guess you're now north of downtown. Well, we're now online, but
yeah, I mean, like technically speaking, like my camera's in Jersey right now, which most Philadelphia folks would say, nah, that's Eastern Pennsylvania.
That's That's
Jersey just doesn't exist. It's either Eastern Pennsylvania or Southern New York.
I hear everything's legal in Jersey.
I love that line when I heard it.
Everybody does. Everyone who lives in the tri-state area loves that line when they hear it.
Because it's so true.
Yeah, if you lived in New York, Eastern Pennsylvania, or New Jersey, everyone loves that line.
Yep.
Except people in Delaware. Fuck Delaware.
But not really. We love you, Delaware.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's sidestep for a second, because you mentioned Nigel and kind of the work that he's been doing on teaching. You and Nigel are actually teaching a class right now together.
Yeah, we're working together on a little project, asking what we can do that. Which reminds me, I need to send a fact to Sam. Yeah, we're working on a project of just like looking at some of the things that maybe we don't cover traditionally in class because we spend so much time training. And now that we can't do as much physical training, what can we do? And so we're looking at sharing some of the knowledge we've accrued over the years in anatomy and Western European fencing history and actor training theory and some stuff about contemporary martial arts training and just some things that sort of more theoretical knowledge, particularly for people who are interested in being choreographers or teachers, is really who it's geared towards. But anybody who's interested, of course, is welcome to take it. You can still do drop-ins if you want, and some of the modules that we're in the middle of the European fencing module, but if you're interested in the other modules, we sell them as kind of like 2-day things, and then we have drop-ins if you just want to do one session. Well, the other modules can be hard to drop in. The fencing module you can kind of drop in on because again, we kind of just do like discrete periods. Mondays, we're kind of covering some of the side sword era and early Spanish rapier. And then the week after, we'll be doing Golden Age Spanish rapier and Golden Age Italian rapier, talking about masters and techniques and kind of an overarching picture of the evolution of fencing. So, yeah, and again, one of the things I just think is so cool is y'all bringing in those HEMA instructors and getting people from the stage combat community who have strong HEMA backgrounds to talk about the work they're doing. Because again, I just think that at least for the time being, that's still kind of the cutting edge thing that people are still exploring and growing in. So.
Yeah, and a lot of the work that you've been doing, kind of in particular, is getting a lot of that HEMA, like practical historical understanding of various kinds of martial arts, and applying that to stage combat, applying that to the acting side. Mm-hmm. How has that study really kind of helped influence you as a fight director, as a performer?
I don't know. I think it's cool. You know. I don't know. I think it's cool. It just expands our vocabulary. One of the big things for me about why I'm so interested in fencing and martial arts is because, like I mentioned Eric earlier, and so like I trained with Eric, and Eric was fundamentally a martial artist, and then I went off to nationals, and while I trained with a lot of different people, Eric's a wonderful acting teacher too. I mean, I took acting classes with him in addition to stage combat classes. He just didn't see them as different. He saw them as fundamentally connected, and he instilled that in me. And then I went out and trained with, at my first nationals, one of the teachers there was Chuck Coyle was teaching knife, and of course Chuck's knife is incredibly rooted in modern combative knife theory, and so I was doing that work with them, and I really thought that was the stuff. And then I got to New York, and I'd been training in Aikido because that's what Eric did, and so I continued to train Aikido. And then again, like I met Ian, and here's Ian teaching these like old medieval buckler techniques with the sword and shield stuff, and I'd taken kind of a more standard sword and shield, and I just thought, this is interesting. And what I loved about it even then, I didn't realize I loved it then, but now I understand why I loved it so much, was as an actor, it gave me something to play, right? I mean, a cut to 3 is a cut to 3, and I can be thinking all I want, that I'm going to attack your arm and cut it off, but I just don't have a connection to that in my brain, right? I mean, I've never cut somebody's arm off, and sometimes when I'm holding a little épée, I'm like, I don't know if this is going to cut your arm off, but and sometimes I didn't know, why is that the first thing I do? Why am I cutting to 3 first? Why not cut to 4? Why not cut to the head? Why not cut to the leg? Mm-hmm. Why am I cutting to this particular target of the right arm? If I'm cutting to a right-handed fencer, I'm saying 3. I should say right arm. But yeah, I don't know why. Why? And again, isn't that like the question for acting, right? When we make fun of acting, I'm like, what's my motivation? Right? Yeah. So if I'm making fun of acting, I'm like, what's my motivation? But that's the fundamentals in at least contemporary American acting theory. Recognizing there's a broad world out there of different theories of performance, and one particular dominant strain in America. There's other strains in America too, Um, but that's something that's important to me to recognize. That's why I say like European fencing history, not historical fencing. It's historical European fencing. There's other styles from other parts of the world. But anyway, yeah. But regardless of where your style comes from, studying martial arts answers that question of why, and it gives the performer something to understand. I understand why I'm doing that. I'm doing that because of this and this and this and this, and because I have this and this and this intention. And so, isn't that really like, instead of martial arts being something that's like, well, there's martial arts, but I'm really an actor. No, I mean that's what the character does. If the character's picking up a sword, they have a plan.
Right.
You know, even if the plan is to stand there and like shake it at the person, hoping they go away. It's a plan. And so the understanding how the swords work in a historical context and in a martial context just gives me a grounding for my work, that I can say why you're doing it. Like I had an actor once ask me, he's standing there, he's like, why would I do that? And I just go, can I tap you in the chest? And he says, yep. And he moved towards me, and I just put the point right on his sternum. He just looked at me and he went, oh, okay. Okay, I get it now. And Derek Phillips was his name. He's a wonderful Shakespearean actor I worked with a couple times. Great man. And he later told me, he's like, that's why you're a good fight director. He said, that's why you're a good fight director, because you can explain that to me and you can help me understand it. And I can't help somebody else understand it if I don't understand it. So I think that the rigor of training is important. And that's one of the things, again, like Ian's one of the most rigorous trainers I know. But he also understands the theory, and that's the key. If you don't understand why you're doing it, then it doesn't matter how well you can do it.
Yeah. And I think like part of the reason why I wanted to make sure I asked that is because I found that some of the folks that I talk to, and part of what I'm trying to do with the Cheesesteak, particularly this year, but hopefully for future years, is get more understanding with theater communities just in general, like the average already established actor who may be out of school or looking to add another tool to their belt, understanding why this training is important to pretty much any actor or any director, any stage manager, anybody, how connected all of this stuff is to theater as an art form at large. So understanding, well, why is this focus on the practical, the martial arts? Why is that such a strong and an important thing? Well, it's like you said, because it helps answer that question of why. Why am I doing this? So yeah, I think that's why I wanted to kind of tangent off of.
Yeah. I mean, I'm spending a lot of time thinking about that right now, because to me, the governors are time, according to Shakespeare, are time, distance, and proportion. Right. That's what makes up fencing, Western fencing theory, anyway. Or Western European fencing theory is these ideas of time, distance, and proportion, and those ideas are rooted in Aristotelian physics, which is this really basic understanding of change and how the world works and what change is. And isn't that what acting is about? It's about change. It's about transformation. It's about a journey where I start here and then I end here, and how I get from there to there. But then also the interface of two people within the rules and the laws of physics. I always, when I teach at thespian festivals and stuff like that. And I love when I teach physical comedy, one of the first things I ask the class, I say, in high school, what's the most important class you can take for acting? And they're all like, well, improvisation, or acting, or practicum, or design, because they think they're being cute. And it's, they say, they say that, and I look at them and I go, it's physics. Because theater exists in the physical world. It obeys the basic Newtonian laws of physics, which we know don't actually govern the physical world completely. They're just a really good way of describing it. And so when you think about acting, we talk about those things, right? It's all in the timing. Comedy's about timing. Well, so is fencing. Fencing is about the time. That time they talk about where you can hit, and being able to sense that time and find that time. So you're developing the same skill set that you need as an actor, a sense of timing. And particularly if you're doing it, and if you ever do any kind of live drilling with martial arts, right? The Japanese call it the sense of timing. There's that timing that you have to do the technique at exactly the right time. And so time is an important concept in that. I mean, proportion, it's all about physical relationship, right? That's what proportion is, and that's what acting is, right? If I stand in the center of the stage, I'm surrounded by 10 people, my proportion grows because it takes me to balance the space. So it's like, and distance, right? I mean, how much of acting is just about getting closer or farther away to the person if you're doing it in a live theatrical context, as opposed to in a film context, but even then, film directors still understand how to make you experience distance. So it's just and it's critical. Those things are what govern our acting at the most root fundamentals. And you think about the fundamentals of that acting teachers teach, things like focus. It's like, what is stage combat but a series of focal points? I mean, I can describe a fight in terms of how I'm shifting my focus and where reaction, making sure that and again, in proportion, making sure my reaction is in proportion to what the person is doing with me and to the world. Because, in physical comedy, the proportion is exaggerated. It's out of shape. It's out of proportion for the world, but it should be in proportion to my partner, the correct proportion. So it's an understanding about relationships and proportion. And proportion is every action has an equal opposite reaction as a part of that. So it's like, if it's exactly right, then you're in the world of naturalism or realism. If it starts getting heightened or changed, then you're entering into absurdity or comedy or any of these other worlds. So, the same concepts apply to both. And so understanding how they translate and relate to each other can be really mutually reinforcing. I found, again, that study makes me a better teacher of acting at the same time as my study of acting makes me go, oh, and that's how it works. I really see how the physical world works. And the human interaction in the physical world and the study of action. What is action? So all that stuff, I think, is really, really deeply interrelated. So it can be really useful to study it, even if you're somebody who has no interest in sparring or no interest in the martial arts. If you just want to make really cool, pretty swashbuckly fights, you're still being governed by time, distance, and proportion. It's still part of everything that you do. And so if you understand theory, that's the problem sometimes, though. I mean, to be fair, martial arts classes just get lost in here's a technique, and here's a technique, and here's a technique. Here's a cool looking lock. And that stuff's good too. But again, what's the storytelling element of it? Like in a lock, what's the proportion? I can see, like, one person's down to the ground and I'm standing up tall. The audience is going to read that proportional relationship and go, oh yeah, that person's winning. They understand that stuff. So
I just wanted to share a quick comment. A friend of mine, Jesse, actually sent me a message, and I kind of copied and pasted his comment into the live stream comments in regards to the kinds of folks that it's important to take these kinds of classes at regional workshops and how helpful it can be to various perspectives. Jesse is also a photographer. Photographers and videographers wanting to get into the action shooting should also take the classes offered by the Cheesesteak. So Jesse actually had graciously and amazingly helped us record some years of the Cheesesteak, as well as Theek Smith up in New York. Theek and Jesse, if you ever get a chance to take advantage of their photography skills, please do it.
Theek's great. I've seen Theek's work. Theek's work is really good.
Yeah.
Theek's work quite well.
Theek and Jesse kind of were helping us out at the same time one year. But in the years before that, Jesse and his wife, Amy, had actually both attended as students. And Jesse actually found, as a photographer, it was helpful for him to also take the classes to get used to the movement. So he knew kind of the timing. You're talking about timing. Knew the timing of when certain things are probably going to happen to get the right kind of shot that he needs, create the right kind of pictures. Kind of what a lot of us choreographers do on stage as well. We create those images and pictures through the choreography. I want to bring it back real quick to the Cheesesteak in particular, and we've been philosophizing a little bit. Which is great because I feel like it kind of answers the question that I was originally going to ask. Why are regional workshops helpful? Like, why go to different places and different regional workshops? Why is this important?
Well, I mean, as somebody who's tried to make a career out of this and had some success in it, it broadens your mind, right? Again, you're not going to necessarily get. There's also a place for like, I need to also just like go and do some training. Like, the training you get at a regional workshop isn't bad, but it's only a 90-minute class or,
right.
A 3-hour renewal or whatever. And so you don't have the time to really do some concentrated repetition. But on the other hand, you get to go out and find out what's the other stuff I want to look at. What's the things I want to study? What's the stuff that's going to broaden my horizon? And again, the answer might be, I think that Granke's longsword class is really cool and I want to do longsword stuff. It also might be Granke's longsword is not for me. And, upstairs, Alex is doing an incredible single sword class, and I really like just that really swashbuckly, fun Hollywood style. You get to see all the stuff that's out there. I mean, there's that variety is the thing. And at the regional workshops, you get a chance to see, and you get a chance to work with different teachers and just broaden your perspective. It was so important to me that I studied with a lot of different people so that I could find out who I am and not just be a copy of somebody. And I think that's a great thing about the regional workshops is you get a chance to see, even if you decide you're really happy at your home base and you think that your teacher's the best and you want to just be just like them, you also just get a perspective. And, again, the people I've seen, one of the reasons I've stayed with the society is just this incredible sense of collegiality and the importance of just the perspective that other people provide when you're in a group. And so even when people challenge me or disagree strongly with me, that's what makes us stronger as an organization, I think, the SAFD. And so the regional workshops are the heart of that, in the sense that it's a place where we all get together and say, look, here's the variety, right? We're all doing combat, but here's the incredible difference between all these different approaches, these different things. Like I saw you're bringing somebody to do parkour this year. It's like, that's a space where some people could do some legitimate research and come in and say, again, you're bringing in a parkour person, but you bring in somebody who's like, okay, I've got this strong stage combat background. Now I'm going to bring parkour into the stage combat I'm doing. And I'm doing these really acrobatic, athletic fights that look super cool and are super different and governed by different laws and different rules than the standard laws. But I mean, you can see that, you look at films, one of the contemporary Bond films has that huge parkour scene in the beginning for action. That's so cool. And it's like, how is there a way, you get on one of those abstract sets and is there a way to to talk to the set designer and say, look, can we reinforce this or reinforce that? Because I really want them running up and down and jumping everywhere, like they did in the old Three Musketeers. I think it was Three Musketeers Part 2 or Three Musketeers. There's an old Three Musketeers that like 90% of the sword fights are them leaping over giant things.
Right.
So that we're running around on that frozen river, and it's like, yeah, that stuff is cool and different. And so it's that kind of stuff that I think is the value of the regional workshops and why you should go. And then, of course, just especially if you can get to one out of your area, meeting new people and seeing a new community. And it's a place for even in a community I know, having lived in New York for a while, knowing Philly isn't that much different. Shh, don't tell New York that. Knowing that is something that is, we can be in the same city and working 2 blocks away from each other, and we're all just too busy. And so it becomes this touchstone for a community. So also, especially if you're new in a community and you want to be in that community, it's the place to meet people in that community and form relationships and even do things that aren't related to stage combat, because you meet people. It's just a great meeting ground, I remember, and the it's not obligatory to drink, but certainly going to a pub night after a workshop or on a Saturday night is just a great way to start to form a community. And that's so much about, I think, why the regional workshops have been successful and why they're important to these societies. It becomes community reinforcing time when normally we can be so separated or in our own worlds. People who are studying at different universities or studying with different private instructors in the same city can come together and meet each other and find out what else is out there for them to grow and expand. Yeah.
And in fact, like for the cheesesteak this year, since we can't do a pub night in typical sense, and especially because this year our workshop is on Halloween.
Oh God.
And October 31st and November 1st, we're all kind of stuck inside. I don't really know many people who are going to be doing anything outside of the house on Thanksgiving. Wow, my brain is jumping early. On Halloween, we're actually going to be trying to do some online virtual community building. Like we're looking into how can we use Discord to do like shared movie night kind of thing.
That's a good idea.
Particularly because, by the way, Mandalorian is premiering on October 31st. So maybe we
screw the cheesesteak. I'm out.
but we did Mandalorian after the class.
Yeah, you can have Mandalorian viewing parties.
Find a way to do Discord screen sharing, watch The Mandalorian. I think Disney actually started doing a kind of like watch party.
Yeah, they picked up the watch party thing. I saw that.
So we might try and do that. But we're also looking at Discord so people can have conversations and chat. I know with Social Distance Showdown, they ended up doing a couple of different Zoom rooms so that people could just join in. Maybe for the cheesesteak, we'll have like if people have different costumes, Maybe do like a
Should have a
costume.
cheesesteak costume contest.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Like there's ways to do this. There's ways to build.
Yeah. You should get an award for the best Fight Master costume.
Woo.
The best Ian costume.
Oh my goodness. Speaking of Ian, I just got to throw this out there because we've talked about him a couple of times. This past weekend was Ian's birthday. So happy belated birthday, Ian. I know on Facebook he was kind of on his personal stream, he was kind of inundated with the amount of people saying happy birthday, but I don't care. Let's throw that out to him again. Because I've got a couple of questions off to the side to see if there's anything else I wanted to chat. The first year you came to the Cheesesteak as a student, was that a year where we had already started doing the melees? And if so, can you remember what the melee was that year?
I can't. I'm old. I can't. I'm old. I don't think your first year was. I think that because again, it kind of like started like it was this project that Shaw and Brimmer had going, where they wanted to do Roman battle tactics, and so then they started finishing workshops, and it was both the Cheesesteak and up in New York with like basically we're gonna cancel last class because we need bodies. So screw what you want to do. Come do our thing. And they made us do like Tortuga formations, and then like there was this whole one where we had Ricky Rabbits was oh Lord, her name just slipped out of my mind. The famous queen Botticia, yeah. And like they literally like we had like a shield wall up with like overhead, and then like they like literally like two big dudes like chucked her over the shield wall, and they killed us from behind. And then I remember the year that we were in the gym at the School of the Arts, and was it Brimmer being pulled around the chariot or Lewis? I can't remember, but one of them was the centurion at the chariot, and so we had a whole chariot routine. That was fantastic fun. But yeah, that was like when it was starting. I can't remember whether it was the first one or not, but the first couple years were really focused on these like we were so into the Roman battle tactics and the shield walls and playing around with that idea. But then like after that idea petered out, I was like, in New York they kind of stopped doing it, and down here it was like, well, what's next?
Oh yeah, like
and then the Great Hall got available.
Yeah.
Like, how can you not want to shoot things in the Great Hall? It's so much fun in that big hall. I got to run.
Oh, you got to scoot? Okay,
yeah.
cool.
If there are any other questions, I'm happy to answer one or two more, but I got to go get my dinner ready.
No worries. Yeah, we're gonna be doing live streams off and on for the next like 2-3 weeks, all the way leading up to the Cheesesteak. So there'll probably be another chance to jump on. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to chat. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Oh. Oops. All right. So that was Dan Granke. Dan was one of our instructors last year, and they've been coming to the Cheesesteak a bunch. I can't quite remember the first year that they were talking about. I don't quite remember the first 2 years of the melee, but I think the third year was the Musketeer year. Yeah, that was 2010, because I think 2009 or so was our first melee. Cool. So yeah, that was just a bit of talking about why regional workshops are super important, what we've done in the past, and what we're looking at hoping to do in the future. Dan was able to point out a lot of information about historical European martial arts. Well, this year we're also bringing in some historical African martial arts, because we need to expand that understanding, expand that awareness. There are so many different styles and martial arts that I'm becoming aware of that I wish I had known about earlier. Because the more you understand a lot of these historical styles, you can represent so many more cultures, so many more ideas, and represent them accurately. That's a lot of what I'm pretty sure many in the fight director and fight choreography community are hoping to do and add to their shows and their movies and film. So yeah, so we're getting close to time for this live stream. If you're just joining us, I've got my my phone just to kind of see who's joining us, because unfortunately the system that I'm on doesn't quite give me the chance to see directly who's joining us, unless you throw in the comments your highs and hellos and waving. So if you are in the comments, if you're watching this live stream right now, feel free to throw in the comments a hi, hello. If you have any questions in regard to the cheesesteak or regional workshops in general, we can answer them for the next like 10 minutes or so. If you've got a story about a year past that you'd like to share, feel free to scroll up to the top of the live stream. I'm gonna share the link again. So if you would like to come on screen with me and share any of your stories from Cheesesteak's past. Yep, there it goes. That's the link just popped up in the live feed. If you've got a story that you want to share, feel free to jump on and let us know. I want to try and help more folks know how important this training is, especially with so many of us stuck inside right now. This is a great chance to stay connected to the community, learn a new skill, get new perspectives, and have a little fun while you're doing it, because we've got a lot of amazing folks joining us. Dan brought up the fact that this year we're bringing in a parkour expert. They were referring to this person right here, Brandy Liard. They are one of the leading the educational directors out at I believe, let me just confirm that before I misspeak. Randy Laird parkour. Double check the gym that Brandy teaches at. Parkour Visions, there we go. Parkour Visions out in Seattle. Brandy is the education director out there, and actually has been trying to revolutionize a lot of the ideas behind that kind of movement and different ways of moving. So I can't even imagine how awesome those classes are going to be. Hey, Kristen Bonfilio, just saw you waving. Cool. So if you are in the comments and watching live, make sure you throw a wave, throw a hi, throw a hello. Let me know what you're doing. So yeah, Brandy is going to be one of our instructors this year. We've got so many awesome folks. Let me actually share this screen because I can share screens real quick. Boop, boop, boop. Yep, there's another picture of Brandy. We've got Leraldo, who's going to be joining us. And Zalda, Leraldo, I am so sorry. I say your name wrong every single time. I am so sorry. We've got Alex Cadero going to be joining us again this year. We've got Michelle Zhang, who is a expert in and has been performing Beijing opera for years. So I cannot wait to find out. So if you're trying to represent these other cultures, you're actually trying to get people from those cultures to having. Thank you so much for your question, Matthew. Cool, let me stop sharing my screen. So if you're trying to represent other cultures, are you actually trying to get people from those cultures or have somebody attempt to portray that culture? We are actually bringing in somebody from those cultures. So as far as historical African martial arts, let me share my screen one more time. We actually have a gentleman named Damon Stiff, who is president of the Historical African Martial Arts Association right now. Let me bring up his bio real quick. He's the chief instructor and founder of Guild of the Silent Sword. He's been training in Asian and African and Middle Eastern martial arts since he was 9. And he actually makes a lot of his own practice weapons and hardwood and aluminum. So we're hoping to have Damon as one of our vendors as well. So that is just one example of the folks that we're bringing in. Michelle was actually born in China and immigrated to Canada a bunch of years ago. Let me see if I could find her bio. There we go. Has been teaching Beijing opera at Concordia University up in Montreal since 2016. Taught advanced level theater performance studio class on Chinese opera training and performance techniques. Has also taught with Jingzhou Canada workshops and National Academy of Chinese Theater Arts. She's received her training with the National Academy of Chinese Theater Arts Directing Program and the Tianjin Art School of Chinese Opera Performance. She's also directed for the National Academy of Chinese Theater and Arts, Beijing Olympic Arts Council. It kind of goes on and on. We've got, like I said, Brandy Liard. Leraldo is joining us. Kev McCurdy. He is a fight director and fight choreographer out in London. If you go to, primary trained as an actor at the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama. And you can see all of these bios if you go to our website. Let me go ahead and stop my screen sharing. So Michael, thank you so much for your question. We are really hoping to make sure that we get people who are actually from the cultures that we're trying to offer classes from. To answer your question, we've debated between the various local Philadelphia teachers. We've debated a lot of like, who do we want to bring in? And especially from this year going forward, we want to make sure that we are very conscious of who we bring in and what we're hoping to have them teach. So, yeah. As we wrap up this live stream, we do have, if you have any other questions, feel free to throw them in the comments. We can answer them live, just like we did with Michael right there. Yeah, so some other awesome fun things that we are hoping to bring to this year's workshop. Like I said, when I was talking with Dan, we are hoping to bring in the chance to have some sort of virtual gathering so that we can all connect and have fun, either watching some sort of Halloween movie, because we are over Halloween weekend. The Mandalorian is premiering on Halloween weekend as well, so maybe we'll try and see if we can have kind of a group viewing party of that together. There will be chances to connect on various chat platforms, whether it's Discord or Zoom. And we are going to have, on the Sunday, on November 1st, the end of the day, we are hoping to have a live Q&A webinar session with anybody who registers. We're going to have as many, if not all of the instructors this year going to be there answering questions live. And this is a chance to essentially pick the brain of people who've been in this business or been studying their various movement art for decades. So this is a chance to get a lot of really good perspective. So we hope that you'll be joining us this year for our virtual Philadelphia Stage Combat Workshop. I'm going to put in the comment section. This is the Facebook page for our workshop. From there, you can also check out our website. Actually get to... We actually get the website itself for the workshop, where you can register to be a student. And just a reminder, we will be throwing up the official full class schedule tomorrow. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, live stream right here. We're going to be going over the full schedule. We're going to be talking about what each of the classes are. And that way, when you register as a student, you'll be connected to our class sign-up form. And that's when you can sign up for any of the classes. I highly recommend register early so that you've got first crack at the class schedule. Because we're in a virtual forum, the only thing that could possibly limit class size is how many students our instructors are comfortable teaching in a single virtual setting. So make sure that you register early to guarantee your class spot. Yeah, I think that is for now. For now, I think that's going to be it. So again, if you're watching this stream, or if you just joined on and you're watching this stream after the fact, feel free to continue to put up questions. We'll come back. We'll be able to answer them. You can also email us. Where to go? You can also email us at philascw@gmail.com if you have any questions in regards to anything you saw on this live stream, or anything in regards to something that may be getting you hesitant to commit to the money. The website has all of the information in regards to cost, on how to register. If cost is a deciding factor and money is really, really tight right now, we do have a pay it forward wait list where folks who are a bit more comfortable financially, they can donate $1, $5, $10 towards the Pay It Forward Scholarship Fund, which will go to admitting somebody who has put their name on that wait list. So we want to make sure that as a community, we support everybody together. So make sure you check out the website. Make sure you shoot us an email if you have any questions. Check out and like our Facebook page, because from this point on, we will be doing live streams pretty consistently up until the weekend of our workshop, so that we can get as much information out to you as we can. So make sure you tune in tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, live announcement of what the official schedule is going to be. And for now, hope you have a great rest of your day, all right? Thanks a bunch.